Good morning all. I'm pretty tired, but I want to do this video because it's very important. I watched a British propaganda film that tries to highlight American Indian warrior, same peoples as the Canadian Treaty Indians. They're the Shawnee, but it's Chief Tecumseh and his story that was of the time of not only British colonialism but Spanish colonialism too. British propaganda films, heavily financed, well done. People love visual displays and all kinds of animation and Hollywood type style documentary, but it is in fact a whole bunch of propaganda, missing truth. In fact, they cut out whole sections, decades of history right out of it and try to make it like Tecumseh was a warrior that saved Canada, when the reality is it's all a lie. Chief Tecumseh was in the time of the American Revolution, 1 year before it, in fact. Not only that, after the successful American Revolution, it goes into the American-Spanish War. That is the truth. And they skip all of that. The British Empire skips all of that. They even, in fact, at one point, tried to paint American soldiers in a state against his oldest brother while he was a child, and tell all American Indians and Treaty Indians that somehow it was Americans, bad Americans. I can tell you an absolute truth, provable, verifiable. In 1774, his older brother was murdered by the British troops, as that was a British colony. And just, everybody, just west of that territory was all colonial Spain territory. The only America post-independence was the 13 colonies. And you can look at the map of the time of British Quebec, who took all kinds of portions of, including the Great Lakes in their entirety, from the 13 colonies by way of a British king. It was British Quebec. That's why half Quebec's history is missing. You want to talk about murdered and missing Indigenous people? Quebec's got about 150 years of murdered and missing, complete, annihilated Indigenous peoples. There's a reason why First Nations of the area fought for the British. Not all is represented in history as it really is. America needs to wake up to this. I've been invited on the Republican side by former American presidents of the Republican side to go on an educational mission across the USA, paid. I haven't accepted that. I've rejected that, but I would sure love to rewrite history as it really is, especially when it's incorrect, especially when you get British propaganda films like the one my girlfriend Tina Marovich shared today, and it's on Tecumseh, and it's all true about that warrior chief and everything he did. What's not true is the British propaganda version of events and the actual history of all the regions involved. Colonialism was absolutely Great Britain of the time and absolutely Spain of the time. America, those 13 colonies, got their independence and waged war forevermore against France, Spain, and the American Indian. And just so all American Indians and all Treaty Indians, especially the numbered Treaty Indians of the Indian Act, when you look at Tecumseh and you look at what he wanted to do in unity, is basically what was the former Northwest Territory before Upper and Lower Canada, which was Quebec and Ontario, very little Quebec and Ontario. After 1812, when America took back their territories from the Canadian British Empire, the fall of Britain in the United States of America. Even in all their 60 plus years of Indian Wars, there are 10 times the amount of American Indians than there are Canadian Treaty Indians. Which version of which country is better for whom? Because I can tell you, the American Indian per person per capita has more than 133% more land than all 40 million Canadians on their private land afforded to them, and all Treaty Indians on their reserves in all of Canada. 133% for 6.7 million American Indians. Did you hear that? 6.7 million American Indians versus 675,000 Canadian treaty numbered Indians. The real ones, the same people as the American Indians. You've been shared nothing of Spanish America that America had to go to war with. When Tecumseh lost the 12,000 miles of land that America bought from the three tribes, guess what? They were all of Spanish America tribes under the Spanish monarchy. UK likes to ignore anything that's derogatory against their fellow colonials, which is Spain. There are 7 colonial countries in this world that eradicate, if you want to use the term indigenous. I like American Indian and I like Canadian Treaty Indian, ceded and unceded, because that is the legal path forward for the First Peoples of Canada. It's not that I don't care about the rest of the world. I care about the fact that in America, American Indians have much more land, self-determination, self-government, and settlement of the claims than any Canadian Indians ever seen in the entirety of all colonialism and the country of Canada, by a whopping large margin. I would love to go across the United States of America and rewrite social studies. I'd love to be a part of that. I would love to do that. And a part of me wants to just pack her up and say, you know what, that would be a beautiful job, doing what I love to do and actually doing something real in this world. I think about it a lot. But I know the people of Canada are hurting so much, very more than the Americans. I worry about the American institution and what's going to come of it when so many countries, such a resounding force against the United States of America, and the USA doesn't even have their history books in order. They don't realize the attack against the American people, which has divided both Republicans and Democrats. I would certainly love to protect the last free stronghold in the world. I would love to go, but I don't believe it's my time yet. I'm not there yet, and I have a job to do in Canada and finish that. But I just want people to know, and I hope a lot of Treaty Indians share this video. I have so much data I can show you and absolutely prove it in real history, defeating almost any academic historian in all of Europe and North America. I can defeat them all in real truth and in real history that nobody can take away, and you can't discount it. You can ignore it, which is what they do. They make fancy videos of Hollywood quality with British narrators telling you how bad America is and how bad your history is, and God save these heroes saving Canada, when the reality is the most atrocious genocides were done in Canada, not the United States of America. And it shows just in the numbers. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But truth is truth, and it hurt feelings. I gotta push it aside and just stick to the truth. That's what I do. Please share this video if you want to see historical evidence. It's there. I can back it up. It's there. It's just not being made public and not really been made popular, because that goes against a $12 trillion force in this world, which includes number 3 of that, my country, Canada. So you can understand how hard it is. It's all treaty and unceded and ceded Indians have had such a hard time trying to get the little basic narratives out. And I'm trying too as a third class, but it's overwhelming, and sometimes, you know, like I said, it's hard. Do I go to the Republicans? Do I take the offer and make that work? You know, maybe in time I'm going to take that. That's my video. Share. I have all the documentation backed up by historians. Not popular, but absolute truth as it really happened. I even have the records from Spain. Thank you. That's my video.